Een hele goede middag. God, daar zijn we weer. We zijn live. Even kijken of we al mensen... Ja, ik zie er eerst al langzaam binnen druppelen. Mochten jullie mij goed kunnen horen, mochten jullie mij goed kunnen verstaan, laat het even weten in de chat. Zo weten we namelijk precies of ik überhaupt goed te horen ben. Kijk, dat is top. Laten we nog even wachten totdat iedereen een beetje naar binnen is gedruppeld. Ja, wacht even op. Vandaag gaan we het hebben over business management software, de ultimate business management software. En vandaag ben ik jullie host. Er komt nog wel, we hebben nog een gast, hebben we ook nog uitgenodigd van een van onze beste partners, Connectwise. En die zal jullie vandaag aan de hand meenemen over alles wat betreft ultimate business management. Ultimate Business Management, dus de business management software, dat is natuurlijk best wel uiteenlopend. Sean Richards zal jullie daar allemaal meer over vertellen. Voordat we dat gaan doen, eerst even mezelf introduceren. Ik ben Robin Smit, ik ben een MSP Solution Advisor binnen Portland, ook de Sales Manager binnen Portland. We hebben een team van zo'n 5 consultants die onafhankelijk advies geven voor MSP's en ook kunnen meedenken in proposities, winstgevendheid, etc. Dat doen we namelijk met deze belofte, namelijk op naar een high-performance tech stack. Deze high-performance tech stack moet bevatten aan de 3 beloftes die we hebben. Wij zorgen ervoor dat je profitable bent, secure bent en connected bent. En wat houden we nou in? Wij denken onafhankelijk, vendor-agnostisch met je mee in hoe we jouw tech stack een stuk winstgevender kunnen maken. Je moet er toch echt aan gaan geloven om je security stack op te bouwen en er de juiste proposities omheen te bouwen. En het zou lekker zijn als je tech stack van toch een heleboel aantal verschillende tools ook met elkaar integreert. En dat in ieder geval met de basis van je omgeving, je RMM, PSA. Als je daar in ieder geval de basis mee kan laten integreren, dan ben je al een heel eind. We gaan het vandaag hebben over business management software. En wij geloven erin dat wij door middel van de business management software jouw EBITDA en je bottomline nummer volledig kunnen verhogen. Ik heb een mooie visual gemaakt om dit een beetje visueel te maken voor iedereen. En dat doen we door middel van de ijsberg. Is waar wij op de dagelijkse zaken best wel gefocust zijn op de known cost. Dat zijn je licentieprijzen, je kantoorprijs, je personeelskosten, etc. Je day-to-day operations. Daar zijn vaak wel bekende prijzen over. En we neigen er vaak naar om op die bekende prijzen volledig aan te sturen. En ons bottomline nummer daarop te bewerken. Terwijl dat is maar 20% van de ijsberg die je ziet. Het draait natuurlijk om de overige 80%. En dat noemen wij de unknown cost. Daar gaan we vandaag ook heel veel meer over doorzoeken. En we gaan kijken hoe we dat voor elke organisatie een stuk beter kunnen inrichten. En hoe wij dat doen. Dus de unknown kosten, daar zit bijvoorbeeld producttraining en support. Je kan je goed voorstellen, er zit een hoop werk in als je heel veel dashboards gebruikt. Managing integrations en automations en client onboarding. Dat ziet er dan in werkelijkheid zo uit. Dus als je kijkt naar een best-in-class MSP's, die hebben gemiddeld een EBITDA van tussen de 23 en 25%. Waar de gemiddelde presterende MSP ongeveer een EBITDA heeft tussen de 1 en 5%. Wat houdt nou zo'n EBITDA-percentage in? Dat houdt eigenlijk in dat bij de 1 tot 5% segment, dat als de grootste klant wegloopt, we snel al in de rode cijfers duiken. En de best-in-class MSP's, die al gauw rond een EBITDA van 23% zitten, die krijgen het voor elkaar om niet volledig te focussen op de 20%, maar op de volledige 100% van hun bedrijf. De ene meer dan de ander. En wij kijken er als Portland naar in hoe we jullie dus veiliger, connected en winstgevender kunnen maken door naar de volledige ijsberg te kijken. Dus hoeveel dashboards gebruik je nou eigenlijk? En hoeveel tijd ben je kwijt om daar je team op te trainen? Maar ook om support te verlenen, alle updates bij te houden, de roadmaps bij te houden, etc. Hoeveel ben je kwijt aan het bouwen en het bijhouden van integraties? Zo zijn die integraties die weer uitvallen bij het minste geringste. Waardoor automatiseringen weer kapot lopen. Die moeten we weer bijhouden. En daar zit gewoon een wekelijkse taak aan om dat allemaal te blijven controleren. En hoe lang doe je erover om gemiddeld 11 tools voor security. Hoe lang doe je erover om je klant te onboarden? En hoe gestandaardiseerd is deze onboarding? kun jij wildvreemden van de straat aftrekken om die de propositie volledig uit te rollen? Of moet dat maanden aan training kosten om een nieuwe klant onboorden? Daarvoor gaan we vandaag kijken hoe we dat een stukje efficiënter kunnen doen en om jullie uiteindelijk winstgevender te maken. Nou, wat gemiddeld gebruikt een MSP tussen de 20 en de 27 tools. En dit is een gemiddelde MSP met 15 tot 20 man personeel. Dus je gebruikt al gauw meer tools en dashboards dan personeel. Voor dit personeel is het continu schakelen tussen interfaces, wat een grote uitdaging is. We zien al jaren een downtrend in de kwaliteit van het personeel. Het wordt dus ook steeds moeilijker voor dat personeel om alle nieuwe veranderingen bij te houden. Al helemaal als je op 27 dashboards moet werken. Nou, haperende API's, moeizame onboardingen van en klanten en nieuw personeel. En omslachtig en vaak handmatige workarounds. Denk aan bijvoorbeeld PowerShell scripts, wat we jaren natuurlijk gewend waren om te schrijven. Om de basics volledig te automatiseren. Nou, consolideren, dat kun je natuurlijk leren. Minder tools betekent lagere uitgaven en efficiëntere processen. Waardoor je niet alleen tijd, maar ook geld bespaart. En wij kunnen je dat laten zien. En doen dat ook bij heel veel partners van ons. We hebben vandaag onze vriend Sean Riches. Ik werk al 4 jaar nauw samen met Sean. En hij is een legend in het gebruiken van ConnectWise. Zowel RMM als PSA. En we hebben 2 nieuwe dingen die we jullie vandaag willen laten zien. Mochten jullie nou een afspraak willen maken met mij om hierover te kunnen sparren. Wat ik zeg, vendor-agnostisch. Mijn shortlist is over het algemeen groter dan de gemiddelde MSP het voor elkaar krijgt. En wil je me nou volgen, dat kan dan via deze QR-code op LinkedIn. So, let's switch over to English. Sean, thank you so much for joining, mate.
No, welcome. Yeah. Hello, everybody.
It's honestly, it's really, it's an honor to be with you on this webinar, and it's very positive to get somebody on stage who is just as knowledgeable as you are. And could you maybe give us a short introduction about yourself, as well as
certainly.
how we can know you and what you're doing in your day-to-day operations?
Yeah. So I've been in IT as far as I can remember, or as long as I can remember, going back to the days of break fix when you actually visited site and fixed broken things. It's you didn't have that remote control. Also getting TechNet on CD, and filling out the old folder. So the days before internet, as I like to say, where you had dial up and all sorts. So go back that far. Been in the MSP industry on and off since then. My last role was with an MSP using ConnectWise software. So I have full experience of using, their management tools, their RMM tools, and how you link them together to get the best out of them. Now, in fact, we migrated from other organizations' tools to ConnectWise because of the integration and the insight that it gave us.
Man, that's beautiful. So you experienced the transition from a different organization, business management software, to ConnectWise before you worked at ConnectWise.
Yes, indeed.
Wow. How is that transition? How did it go?
Yeah, no, it was really interesting. What was really powerful for us was joining the user groups. So the ConnectWise user groups, because when you're an MSP, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. And it's like, you think you're on your own. It's like, well, how are other people doing this? How are they making money? And it's like, what are our next steps? And it's like, okay, so how are we going to glue this all together? And then when you start talking to it and they start explaining where you identify your costs. So like you were just demonstrating Sleeks there. It's like, what are the unknown costs like you're tracking? So, and it's really difficult to empower your own staff as well to understand that. So I'll give you an example, Robin. I had a member of staff, he had to go and visit site to go and replace a cable for something. It was about an hour drive away from the office. He gets there and realizes he's forgotten the cable. So has to come back again. And when you look at the profit loss on that account, it was like, well, actually, we've just lost all the profit on that account for the month because you forgot to take the cable. And I was like,
right, that's horrible. That's
yeah.
Is it nowadays? Is that still a thing that is happening nowadays in the MSP industry? Because I know for a fact that break fix, of course, we're trying to get that to a recurring services company. But do you see types of this like the old days?
No, so not like the old days. So nowadays you've got the likes of Amazon, next day delivery and things like that. So when you look at it, sometimes we would consider, well, actually, by the time I've invoiced you for this cable, it's going to cost me more than it's cost me to actually send the cable to you. So sometimes it's just like, okay, it's not worth my time invoicing you for this because the cable's like €2.50, and it's going to take me €10 of time to go and do the invoicing, the accounts, claim the money. And it's like, now we're in that world where, you've got Amazon Prime, you can get a cable out there for free. But it's only from having like the business management software in place, you start to understand how much your finance team costs, how much it costs to go and put an invoice out, because everybody's time is valuable. And that's what I find with, when you start studying the business management, everybody says, oh, well, I just use it for support. I need it for tickets. Oh, no, it should be used across the entire organization to understand where those costs are.
Yeah,
So,
100% agree. And today, what are the spots you're going to enlighten us on, Sean?
So I'm going to talk through today around hyper automation for business management. So when we talk hyper automation, and this could be, everybody's got on the bandwagon of AI and robotic process automation. But what people don't realize is, you've had automation in the platform for a long time. So, each disparate program, like RMM has what you call tasks and automation you can provide. But sometimes you get missing links between different products. So ConnectWise is under Steam to say, well, actually, if this is PSA, how do you automate an onboarding of a 300 Office 365 user? Because those are the requests that you get in. So it's about that, but also other things. It's not just generally about service and support. We're also talking about how do you streamline your finance activities or your sales activities. So you've got a quote that needs, you've got some equipment that's coming to end of life. And traditionally, somebody would go through manually and go and create like a purchase order or a sales order. So we now have workflows where you can go and create that, automatically. So you don't have to think, oh, I need to go and look at my diary. I now need to go and create it. It's like it's been created for you. But also, if you've got people out on the road, how you can use things like our Teams bot and Sidekick to show my day. So you don't necessarily have to be in front of a laptop all day. So this is about, how do you get those efficiencies across the whole platform.
Mate, this is great. That's great. And on the last, we got two things that I just wanted to showcase because there are a lot of ConnectWise partners, of course, on this webinar as well. Is this the presentation you got, Sean? Because I just shared it, but maybe it's not.
It is indeed. I'm going to share from my screen so I
Yeah,
can be a
let's
bit
do that.
interactive as well. So,
Let's,
we have got it in there. So I'm just going to share my screen. Just make sure that we can see that.
yes.
Yeah,
Let me.
fantastic.
Yeah, there we are. There we go.
So I know, Robin, you asked me to talk a little bit about myself, but here we go, So fun fact, last year at the ripe old age of 55, I decided to cycle Sacalabra in Mallorca.
Mhm.
So 6,600 feet of climbing. I'm doing Mount Ventoux this October. So, interested in, but yeah, as it says there, I've worked at all levels within an MSP, and I've enjoyed my time here at ConnectWise, shaping the RMM product and now working with the RPA teams as well. So a bit around me. So
Oh,
the agenda that we're going to cover today, we're going to talk around what is that hyper automation piece, because there's a lot of talk in the industry about that. We're going to talk about Sidekick. So this is what we implement with PSA to do like ticket triage, ticket sentiment. So you can see how your customers are. We're going to talk a bit around that workflow, joining different ConnectWise products together. And then we're going to talk about bots, all right? So how we're going to go and do that. So first general question that I like to ask, and I know, this is a webinar. So I'm going to cover off some of the answers that I've had previously. So, is anyone currently using ConnectWise hyper automation tools? So when we talk hyper automation, people generally think, as I said before, that RPA and workflows, or even Sidekick. But generally, people are using them already. You've got ticket templates within PSA, you've got automatic tasks within RMM. So that's an example of hyper automation. And we have discussions around, using the best element for what you want to do. So you wouldn't necessarily go and rip out all the automation you've already got in place within PSA or RMM with workflows. You're going to use workflows to join those together. So this is what we're seeing. And everybody think it's a magic bullet. You press a button and away you go. You've got automation in the platform there. So hyper automation. So you have all this talk in the press about hyper automation, meaning what is it? And it's about using all those things we've already had. So things like automation tools, we've had industry experts who use their expertise, but you've also got those business applications that already have that information within it as well. So I'm not sure, what have you seen recently, Robin, when you went out to IT Nation Secure 2025,
Yeah.
what did you think around the talk of what we were showing there?
Well, it was a lot about the workflows and helping the MSPs make the simple repetitive task way easier within the same system that ConnectWise is offering, and that's the ASIO, of course.
Yeah.
So it's the consolidation in between with the ecosystem that even like competitors could integrate with the ASIO platform, and you could manage them through the workflows of ConnectWise and RPA.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point. It's not a closed ecosystem. We're sharing the ecosystem with all our vendors. So it's about, building that platform. So, we talk about that hyper automation, artificial intelligence, machine learning, the RPA, and what we have within ConnectWise is Sidekick, workflow, and bots are the three elements we have there. So moving forward, you've got your Sidekick element. It's AI powered. It utilizes machine learning. But a key concept that people need to know is it only uses their own data. We're not using the ecosystem data. It is ring fenced. So what you're seeing here is you've got that Sidekick pop out. So a Teams bot, where people can go and start asking questions. It's like, what is my day looking like, and things like that. Then we've got workflows, which is going to focus on a whole process. So in this example, we're going to update and we're going to send an email notification to go after a trigger point there. RPA stands for that robotic process. So bots mimic those human interactions, such as clicking a series of buttons. So when we look at it, Sidekick is about enabling the entire business. So this is your sales team, your finance team, anybody who might be needing to get to their information they need faster. Then you've got workflows. It's about automating that entire process. So it's being repetitive. So same results every time. Because we all know that, sometimes you'll do your task one way, the next day you'll do it another way and forget to go and inform finance, I've done this. Now, using that process piece, you can use a trigger point and go through that. Then you've got that bots piece. So this is about mimicking clicks to go and do things. We actually utilize that as well. So today we ask, what would people like to automate? And we'll just skip over that. So today we have within the ConnectWise ecosystem, ConnectWise Sidekick. And this is Sidekick for PSA. So that's that Sidekick Teams bot. We also have Sidekick for RMM. So that's the generative AI used in scripting. So I don't know about others, but for PowerShell, I can normally read it quite well, but trying to write PowerShell, I could spend days. And I've had examples where partners have spent a couple of days trying to write some PowerShell, whereas with generative AI, it's giving them that fast start that they need to go and resolve what they're trying to do.
It's insane. And to hook on there, Sean, we got a partner. He was calling me for, he was using the RMM of ConnectWise. And he called me and he said to me, well, it's difficult because I got a server and he was down. And before I could think of a solution, the AI engine of ConnectWise RMM already figured it out and made the solution with AI and scripting. Is this exactly what you're meaning by, well, you can PowerShell script everything by yourself, but the AI, generative AI of ConnectWise RMM is doing it for you?
Exactly, that's what I mean. But we have to be careful there as well that generative AI is good because it's just going to work on what you've put in. So if you've put in something erroneous, it's going to come back and might not look right the first time. So I always say be careful, but it gives you, 80 to 90% of what you're looking for there, because it's going to make your life easier as you come through. So saving you time and effort is actually the starter for 10. Always go and test it. That's what I always say. But you're quite right. It's I did have a partner who was trying to find a particular piece of software installed across 2,000 machines. And he tried with our previous RMM, so automate, and his team had spent about 2.5 days trying to figure it out. Within 15 minutes, we had it resolved with RMM. So that's the kind of power that changes when you start using automation and AI tied together there.
That's insane, and that's a thing that I want to do after at the end of this webinar. Is about the Automate and RMM, because those two products are, of course, Neckwise products, but there are some differences between them. I'm really keen to understand those. So, but please go on. Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. So also Sidekick for ASIO, you may have seen the blue ConnectWise logo within ASIO, and depending on what you've signed up for, depends on how that works. And then we've got Sidekick for IT Boost. So, this is one of the cases like my team works best. Is there a great way for them to access that information faster? So we're going to talk around that Sidekick for PSA today, So on the right-hand side, we're within PSA, we're picking that. So in this instance, you've got the ticket information on the left. And we're going to say here, recommend a board. So you can recommend a board. Has been highlighted there. So it says recommend a subtype. So I'm not having to do anything. You hear that submit button, include the internal notes there, and you go and see that. So we're going to give you that generated response there. So ticket notes is like summarized. So we've summarized it, but you can also see we've given it a type, subtype, and item type. Now, this is based on your previous data. So it will take a little while to learn, but it will get better as more of your data is consumed by that AI engine there. So going through, you hear that update ticket categorization, and you will see that ticket has now been categorized with those changes there. So that's just one example of that Sidekick for PSA. So you can see that there's change there. Another example is, via a Teams bot. So you go and install the ConnectWise Teams bot, and it's just a chat bot. So first thing you do is you're going to go and log into it with your ConnectWise account. So sign in with ConnectWise. It's going to give you, your first entrance there. So you can see from here, I can say, well, actually, have I got any tickets assigned to me? What's my day looking like? And things like that. So you have that pod at the bottom there. Type a message, so you can freeform if you want to, as opposed to clicking one of those buttons there. And we're going to do that. So in this instance, we're going to say, what's my schedule, and summarize my day for me. So my day, summarize my day. And you can see it's pulled back without me having to log into PSA to go and find what my day is going to look like. So also how many hours I'm going to be on site, in-house. So people know where I am as well. So going back there, so go back to that main screen. So the next thing I might do, I might be in the sales team. So I click on sales, and I'm going to say, well, go and to show me my open opportunity. So what do I need to go and work on? So here's a summary of all of those that I'm working on at the moment. So quick and easy, which one of these may I need to go and give some attention to there as well. Moving through. So that's all about Sidekick within PSA and within Teams chat. So
This,
now,
from partners as well, Sean. How much time is on average partner busy with the implementation of Sidekick? Because I know for a fact with, for example, Copilot, it's an insane amount of hours that you've been busy with the data organization, etc., etc. What is your experience with partners are going to use Sidekick?
so literally you turn it on and it starts working straight away, because we've got your data already in the platform. What you've got is it's going to be learning on a day-to-day basis. So the more data, because obviously day one, it's not going to have scrape your data, pull in. So it then just learns on a daily basis. So we do see that it normally takes about 2 weeks for it to start understanding, the AI side, but it does start working straight away. It's not like Copilot where you have to go and start inputting lots of data for it to start. It learns as it goes. So
Damn, and that's why is the difficulty with Copilot, for example? I know security is it's a thing. How is that compared with Sidekick?
So I can't talk around how Copilot is, but I know with Sidekick, it's just looking at your organization's data. So you're not having to filter out anything it might have learned in the past. It is starting with your data. It's not going to look at your historic data. So what you have to bear in mind is if your team start putting wrong categories against tickets coming in, guess what the AI is going to do? It's going to learn that category. So it is just about being responsible as you are building it out. And if you do get errors, it means that somebody's obviously using the wrong board or something like that. So that's a bigger piece, really. It's about educating your team on how to use it. So I always say, and it's like with any product, isn't it? It's I remember doing a RMM implementation once, and I was working with the team that was doing the implementation, and then they said, well, actually, my service desk team have got some questions around how you do things. I went out and joined them, and it was like, well, why can't I do this? And why can't I? And they hadn't been taught how to use RMM itself. It was like, so they didn't know that they could go and do automatic tasks from within the platform. So it's the same thing as when you're using AI or using that. It's about the adoption piece. It's about
Yeah.
training your team to use that. We have university articles on it, and we also have web web videos as well, so people can go and learn there.
Oh, that's good. That's all combined in the university, right?
Yes, it is indeed.
Awesome. All right. I see Boas is typing for a question, but please go on with the workflows. Then when Boas is finished, I will hook somewhere. I will hook in. Yeah.
No worries, not a problem at all.
All
So
right.
I'll come to a natural stop when we get to the other side of workflow for any questions there.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Okay, so workflows. So we have this canvas in the background that you can go and use, and you can go and pull and drag however you like. Now you'll see on the side here, what we always start a workflow off with is a trigger. And workflow is about joining different ConnectWise products together, or even using things like Teams to go and send a message, or if you have the capability, any vendor product that has an open API. So as long as they have an open API and you're on RPA Pro, you can go and generate your own trigger points and anything like that. So you can see from here, we're going to go and choose a trigger. In this instance, we chose that ticket has been created. So we're looking at the company lookup by ID, and then we're looking for the condition. Is this a VIP customer? Depending on the answer there, is if they are a VIP customer, we're going to then go and have a look through. We're going to say, what does it equal? And we have got to put that company in there, and pulling through, we're going to configure a timer. So update the ticket priority. We're going to delay that by an hour or a minute if we wanted to, and then we're going to send an email notification. We must always have a stop there. So the whole process was, there's been a ticket created. We looked up who the company was. If it was a certain company that we class as a VIP, we're going to update that ticket priority. We're going to delay by 1 minute there, and then we're going to send an email notification that that's been updated there. Now we have moved on, that we have got different bots and processes going in there. I'll just drop you into what that canvas looks like, because we've evolved a long way since then. So our workflow engine, we have at the moment some workflow templates as well. So you're not having to start from scratch here as well. So you see things like, onboarding a digital worker down to PSA. So something that we weren't able to do within PSA today or manage, we're now able to do through workflow. So like assign agreement on a service ticket. So we all know that sometimes agreements aren't attached to service tickets, and how you're going to track costs there. So we're making it about that business automation piece, how you track through. And also this is that configuration renewal, I mentioned earlier, so configure, send email. And all you have to do is you hit that try it button. So it's going to go and pull that through. I hit the done button, and you can see it's built that task for me. So it's seeing if there's a configuration that's going to expire in so many days. We're then going to check for that renewal. And if not, we're going to go and create an opportunity there. So who the primary sales rep is. And then if it's not, we're going to go and create a service ticket, delay it by 4 days. And we're going to go and do some other around that PSA automation piece. So one of those PSA pieces that we're talking there, going back to the workflows, then you've also got the ability to do that Office 365 user, So you could start from a customer portal that's going to go and populate the ticket. So when I go and have a look at that, let's just expand the screen a little bit. So the end users use the PSA portal to go and generate this. So there's been a service ticket created. We're going to walk through. So is this in the right board for onboarding? And then we're going to do a ticket, transform the data in the ticket so that we can use it. And you'll see we're capturing all the different variables. We're updating the ticket with what those are. We're seeing if we've been asked to clone a user. If we're not, we're going to create that new user in 365. We're going to update any group names. We're going to add it to any groups that are required. And then we're going to update the ticket status as closed. So what we generally see is this saves around 60 to 70% of time, of that new user creation process as well with those workflows.
That's insane. That's very good.
So that's a couple of use cases there. And this is where we're just talking through, we've added that, advanced expression so you can do it on different elements as well. But you'll see we've added those bots and templates now as well. Have you got any questions around those workflow pieces?
This is very good. This is this is fully compatible within the Benelux region, right? So every Benelux partner can make use of this. That's very good. Boa's got a question about the Sidekick piece. I think it is compatible with this workflows as well. It is when you change the workflow, and with workflow is meaning like adding categories, adding services, boards, etc. Could the AI keep using the old data, or does the AI needs to be reset to remove the old data? Because you said, well, if you educated it wrong, they need to. Then he's going to educate himself wrong. So what's the thing with when you make changes?
So obviously it's learning on a daily basis. So we run through the tickets that have been updated on that day. So the only thing is if you notice wrong data, is you need to educate your team on actually not continuing that process, and putting wrong data in. So as long as, they're educated that, or you have that review process. So there is that step there where, you had to update the categorizations, you do have it as suggested. So although it suggested it, you may say, well, actually, you've suggested it incorrectly, and you go and change it to what it should be. So you always should have sometimes that, natural step. I liken it to when I was in the MSP space, we would use expert services, like the 24/7 support services.
Yeah.
We would only ever let the ticket go to the resolved state. We would never let it automatically go to closed state. So you always had your automation person or your key super user would go through and review things and actually say, actually, I'm happy with that. That can be closed, or that's not quite right, and modify the data or update it so it's correct. Because it's all a learning curve for everybody. We used to find that there were certain processes that the NOC didn't necessarily follow completely, but because we had that stage where we could review it, we would go and update the documentation. So next time round, it was better. And I treat that the same as AI, is like, well, actually, we need to stop the source of where that bad data is coming from. But going back to the question about removing old data, unfortunately not, because it's learning. If we removed all old data, it would then, it's not I just want to remove this bit. It is a wipe the slate and start again. And generally, people don't want to do that.
No, but so if you make any changes within the system, please just continue using the system so it educates himself in the right way. But you need to make sure that the data is always correct and in the right process, right?
Yeah, and that's why you saw on that demonstration with Sidekick where it gave you, this is what I've changed to, and then it's the end user would hit save. So you've still got that manual check there. So it is getting better and better.
That's good. That's good. So about the workflows as well, is the RMM workflow, is that already compatible with Manage or only the PSA in the ASIO platform?
So there are some key requirements that you must be on SSO. So PSA must be on SSO, or Manage must be on SSO. And then, yes, it is already compatible with RMM. So
awesome. So they can just contact me for a cloud conversion to an SSO.
Yes.
Boas, if there's any need for it, please contact me or Lucas. You know where to find us. We can help you make the transition to cloud. Thanks for the questions, Sean. Let's go into the bots.
Okay, so bots. So just quickly covered that off with that Office 365 user. So this is about that tedious and repetitive task that they have to perform when onboarding new clients. So I just went through the workflow that includes that as well. So when we look at that, so you've got that service board, and what you have within PSA is an automation pod. Again, you need to be on SSO so for it to work. And what that means is, you have those automation options. Now, we have modified this so that it actually gives you, when you go and use this, suggested bot to use now. So based on the ticket, so like if it's a new user request or a password reset, it will highlight at the top there what it should give. Now, in this instance, we want to go and grant some mailbox permissions. So we select it to run. And this is where we then use that form to go and grab the details. So this links either via CSP or to the partner zone 365. Now, so we select the company, we select the option there, and then we run that automation. Okay, that skipped through a bit quicker than I expected. So let's do this live. Let's do this live, So let's get into the service board. And as you can see, I was using it earlier to go and get some information around a user. But we'll just go and do another automation option there. So as you can see, it's based it upon the left-hand side there. So through that automation, sending, what I might want to go and do. So in this instance, it might be that I want to go and let's just go and have a look. Where was the retrieve? Get user account details in cloud. No, remove all licenses. Let's enable a user. Okay, so, I just need to refresh the screen so the automation pod reloads because I've had this open a little while. So automation pod. So get user account details, for example. Okay, I just need to refresh the whole thing. So let's just go back and back in. So not forgetting, if you have got PSA and RMM integrated, you're going to get the devices pod as well to show you information. So let's just go in here and create, let's just get remove user license. Okay, delete user account. I need to resync for a second, so I'll show that in a second. I'll just resync it and log back in for it to, there we go. Okay.
It's always fun with live demos.
It's always the way, isn't it? It was working, you test beforehand, and then what happens is like, okay.
I knew Jake Verghese when he worked at ConnectWise. He did a live demo in Orlando before 5,000 people, mate. It's insane, but I think it's ballsy, right?
Yeah, it is indeed. It's all good. So let's try it again. So we're going to see how many are there. So we're going to go and reallocate a user license. And this time you can see we've got that integration pieces there. So going to select that input form, which company is pulling it directly from your CSP. Going to pull from Umbrella Corp, and I want to select the user. So in this case, I'm going to go and pick, let's go and pick myself. Pick myself. Select license. I've got no licenses available at the moment, so go and do that. Okay, so I could then go and revoke it. I could go and do other elements there as well. Hit that submit button, and I haven't had to go into Office 365. It's just taken place there. When you do have a configuration item attached to it as well, you'll see that you're able to run certain automations against a device as well. So we'll see if I scroll a bit further down, if I wanted to go and okay, we've got go and reset Firefox browser settings, delete Chrome browser history. Now I could go and select that to run on that individual device if I wanted to. So go and push that through, tick that input form. I won't go and do it because I like my browser history, so I'm going to go and do that for the moment. So, and now you'll see within PSA, you've also got details of the device as well. That's not using any of those other pods, but this is where I was talking about. You already have a certain amount of automation or linking between the two products already there. So those are bots within PSA itself, but you can use those within workflows. So when we come down to here, you can see that this is a list of bots that are in the platform that I can use within workflows. So you'll see there's a lot that we just saw in that pod as well. So like manage mailbox permissions. I also have the ability to go and create my own bots. So if something doesn't exist already, I can go and create a bot using open APIs or anything like that if I've got the relevant technical knowledge to go and build that. We do have a hyper webinar automation series on a Thursday afternoon that I'm sure I'll share the link with you, Robin, so you can share it with everybody.
Awesome. That will be amazing. That will be amazing. That's great. Thank you so much for Sean for the bots as well. And I get two separate things to hopefully you can show us around. Because the automation part is insane, right? That's very good, and the development of ConnectWise is pretty rapidly in this in the AI space. But I know for a fact that there are two separate things that are going to be deployed within this year. Well, it is already deployed, but it's in beta right now. Those 2 points are security 360 and backup 360. Is there any point you can show us around a bit?
Yes, certainly I can show you that. So I will add the caveat that I am a generalist, so I can give a high level, and then if you want more details, it's like we do have specialized teams that are going to answer that. I will try my
Yeah,
best.
100%. Don't blame Sean for anything, and and please.
I'll issue my disclaimers now.
But it will be very lovely because I saw those things in London as well in March when London IT Nation, of course, was there.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Yeah, so again, so it's like, we were talking around that hyper automation. We now have a hyper automation dashboard as well. So a lot of people are saying, well, what are those stats from what we're delivering there? So you can see here, how many executed, even going down to, well, what are the top RPA bots that are kicking off there as well? And also those top workflows as well. So what are the most commonly used workflows and bots? Because one of the questions we get is, how do we know what's being used? How do I know? So you can see down here, this is that Sidekick Teams bot, how many people logged in, how many you've used the different elements of that Sidekick piece as well. So this is using BrightGauge, and with Wireframe BrightGauge directly into ASIO now. And in the next couple of months, you're going to see BrightGauge directly within here, so it doesn't pop out. So, this is all about building that hyper automate, all that best case business management. And I have seen screens where we're starting to mash like tickets with RMM data and bits and pieces. So, moving on. But we were talking around today, you were talking around that backup 360. So, from here, depending on the integrations that you have, so at the moment, I just have a Cronus, Axion, ConnectWise SaaS backup. We're going to be bringing in Datto as well, and also Skykick into the same platform. So, sorry, I'm not allowed to say that word anymore.
Yeah.
ConnectWise SaaS Cloud SaaS Backup, shall we say, as the product that will be in here. So when you look through, you're going to go and see, well, what's the protection status? We're going to give you, how many were successful as well. So, when it was last done. So you've got that overview. Going to go and see what devices as well. So what devices are being monitored. So these are desktops. Have they got backups on them? Any alarms in place as well? So we can see we've got one device here. Well, there's a problem on that device. And then DR readiness as well. So depending on the software, if you use DR readiness, are we going to go and show that? You can, of course, drill down by company as well. So if I drill down by Umbrella Corp and I want to see the stats for that, you can see I've only got 5 out of the 10 machines there protected. So I may want to go and do something. So there's your backup 360 dashboard, picking even your SaaS devices. So look, you've got 32 Entra ID users covered there, in Microsoft 365. So giving you that information in one place there.
That's insane. That is so, and even the competitors are going to be included within the same framework. That's insane. Something that the industry is not really, looking like doing also. So that's good. Sounds seriously good.
And this is where we like this ConnectWise 360 as well. So Security 360, where we're taking in all different feeds from different places. So if you've got either like Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, Microsoft Defender for 360 involved as well. This is where you're going to go and show like the health of the endpoint, your email, using our vulnerability as well. So we have that vulnerability piece that's going to go and push through. It's going to show you threats. And if you've got, something like Proofpoint, we pull in feeds from your training as well. So how secure are you? Again, you can pull down by companies and sites here. So if I go and pick my company, which is Rain Home Industries, because I have done some work on Rain Home Industries to try and get that score above. So at the moment, you can see like it's at 20% as all of the others, and I'm at 49%. It's because I don't have training or Microsoft Rep 360 embedded within there. So it's going to show me, where I've got devices down there. I can drill through as well. So it will automatically create a ticket within PSA to tell you where the vulnerabilities are. So when I go and have a look at the tickets, you can see it's showing me, what the ticket is. So ticket number, when it was created, what it was created by, and what the ticket title is. So there's a service request there. Or I can go and drill through into the vulnerability dashboard itself. So it's giving me more details around, how many security patches have been installed, how many vulnerable applications I may have. You can see a list of CVEs here. So if I go and have a look at this one, it's telling me what devices are impacted by that as well, that I may want to go and do some work on. Now, if I do then go down to vulnerability management and I go and pick my site, Random Industries, let's go and pick that one. It's giving me that count, of what is seen on each. So you can see I've got some high CVEs on DC01. I can come into here, I can go and pick, from here, use after 3. And then if I've got an action that I can do, so if there is from within here, it's going to give me more information around that and what I may need to go and do that. So if I hit agree, it's now taking me to that further information. But this is giving you that aggregated score, so I don't have to go looking around all my different devices that are going there. And I can even look at, well, where are my top risks that I need to go and identify and do something with. So hopefully you can see, we're taking it to that unified platform, so you've got that information to hand, and that you can then use our reporting, Bright Gauge, to go and pull those through.
And that's insane. And for my understanding, and Sean, I know this isn't your expertise, so I won't pinpoint things to you and to your name. But do I see it right that this is the RMM platform built on the ASIO framework that got included with Security 360, Backup 360, vulnerability scanning, and everything included in one platform? Or
Yeah, so that's it. So obviously the ASIO platform, when ASIO was launched 3 years ago, well, it's over
Yep.
3 years ago, everybody thought it was just RMM, whereas actually the ASIO platform, we are getting the message out there that the ASIO platform is, is going to contain, this is where PSA is moving to. So you can see like the PSA elements now coming into the ASIO platform. But you're quite right. Recently we announced that, with RMM, we are including Backup 360, Security 360, and that vulnerability piece as well. So all with that same agent.
Oh man, and that's just like insane. And
Yeah.
even with and that's the original thing I think with ConnectWise as well, is the ecosystem behind it, the marketplace behind it, that it integrates to so many different vendors, even competitors.
That's quite correct. So like when we come down here, we go to ASIO integration. So obviously we've got different integrations for different elements. So you've got your ConnectWise 360 integration. So, you go and tick all the boxes so you can see what's included there. You've got your hyper automation pieces and your professional services automation. You've even got the ability then to go and build your own custom integrations as well for custom workflows. So this is what I was saying about that open API. If you've got access to open APIs, so could be you're using something like Ubiquity as your network provider, or switches. As long as you've got that API, you could then trigger an action from within ASIO to go and provision something within the Ubiquity platform. So, but you just need the technical know-how how to go and build those APIs, those trigger points. So fully extensible.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane. I'm looking at the time, and we've left in the last 10 minutes. So, if people on in this webinar got any questions further left, please feel free to ask those, so we can get back to you about it. Sean, I think if there's no questions still in the chat, I think we gave a very good overview of what ConnectWise can offer inside of the business management software. Thank you so much for everything that you have explained and showed around. Even without your expertise, you showed us around as you're doing this day by day.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. one last tip for the MSP market.
So I always say one last tip for the MSP market is don't be afraid to talk to people. It's like that big community out there is just get involved. You never know, I did a couple of our competitors things. So I did the true methods and I did other things. And it's all about understanding. It's like, don't try and reinvent the wheel yourself. It's like other people have done it, join peer groups. I think that's my biggest thing is, like you were talking about SLI earlier, all that information is like understanding where your costs are. That's a big, but also, even though something might be more expensive, it's like we talk around RMM, our knock team go and trigger things on events, but that lets you know exactly what the issue is. So you don't have tech spending time trying to work out what's going on. So if it can be, just go for it.
Yeah, 100% agree to that, Sean. And thank you so much for joining in this meeting. Thank you so much for showing us around. And we keep in touch, 100%.
Have a great one. Thank
Cheers,
you.
guys. Cheers. Have a good one. All right.